Hi, everyone. Oh, it's so good to be back. Thank you for joining me here. It's been about 3 weeks, something like that, and I have Suki joining me. She's on the floor in the corner, laying down because I just took her outside, and she was chasing squirrels and climbing trees. She's on a leash and her adventure vest. I'll put a photo in if I haven't showed you already. And so she's just chilling out right now, maybe. But anyway, this has been, I would say, like the most challenging. I think I'm calling this video something like the Island of Misfits, false starts, whatever. It's been a compressed amount of running into roadblocks. Some of it has to do with me being new. I actually looked back on my credit card or debit card charges to see when I was taking my first lessons with Carol at my local yarn shop to learn how to knit, and it was in March. I can't really nail down the date because I'm not sure. Um, Sometimes I was joining their knitting circle and I would buy a skein of yarn, Barocco vintage, and then other times she was teaching me knit and purl, and then we did some pattern swatches like basket weave and all this other stuff from like Barbara somebody's treasury of knitting patterns. I'm saying patterns, but I don't think that's what it was. I have my microphone on this water bottle and I'm watching it to make sure it's green. So if you see me look down, I also do I have my iPad? I don't. So we'll see if I need it. I'm going to pull up Ravelry on my computer. I have a couple things open here. So I will pull up Ravelry and go to projects in case I need it. All right. News. I am now a Woolly Thistle affiliate. I'll put the code and the link in the show notes. But if you shop at the Woolly Thistle and you use my affiliate code, what that means is we get a commission. I don't want to call it a kickback, but whatever it is, it's a commission, a small commission on any purchase that you make using my code, and it doesn't change the price of the item. I am such a big fan and believer and supporter of the Woolly Thistle. It's where I bought my set of. Oh, I want to take this out. I'm going to show you this. It's where I bought my set of Chalgu needles. I first learned about the Woolly Thistle from the Tiny Desk Knitting podcast, Emma Barnaby, and she is also a big supporter of the Woolly Thistle, and she does segments on their podcast. They have a wonderful podcast, and I've learned so much from them. So when I knew I was ready to buy my set, I definitely wanted to get it from them, and I have certainly ordered other things from them. So they're a U.S. based company. Are they in Vermont or New Hampshire? Can't believe I don't know that, but one of those states. And Corrine is the owner and such a wonderful staff that you get to meet in the podcast. And they bring British wools, woolly wools, as they would say, UK and European wools to a US shop. They were an online business for a long time. Now they have one of the yarns that I have from them that I've shown before is this Rauma Fivel. So Rauma Fivel, I think it's Norwegian yarn. And this is worsted. This is a 50-gram ball. This is the softest of the Rauma yarns. And I would agree with that. I mean, it's semi rustic. I think that I could make a vest out of this and not a full on sweater that would be laying against my chest, but I could wear this as a layer. Excuse me, I must have done a swatch with this, and I'm going to make a hat, a colorwork hat. I meant to do that during their colorwork cow, but I didn't. I am thrilled to have this yarn. It's so lightweight. So here we go. Let me give you an update on the Stages Pullover that I've been working on. I would have had this done had it not been for a roadblock that I encountered, and I'll explain. I'm just going to hold this up. I think I have a photo of me trying this on maybe when the one sleeve wasn't done. But here it is. Yes. I have elastic in the neckline that is still dangling because I'm not sure how it'll end up, how much I'll cinch it in, and whether I'll put in another line. Let me stand up. Okay, here we go. All right, so here's my waist. And if this was unfurled, I am starting on the ribbing, which will be like 2 inches. And this will grow a tiny bit. This is unblocked, and a lot of this is blocked. One of these sleeves is blocked. Let me see which one. Can I tell? I don't even know anymore. I think it's this one. Oh, this is so squishy and wonderful. It's made out of Purl Soho Wigeon sport weight. I love this yarn so much. I love putting this on. I hope I get to wear it at least once, maybe even if it's just in the morning going outside. Here's the ribbing on the cuff. Let's talk about my ribbing woes and why this isn't finished. This is an actual size 1. I used my sock needles to do the ribbing on here. This body is a size US 4. The color work where it was 2 colors is a size 5. And the ribbing is actually supposed to be a size 3. I did the neckline in a 4 because at the time I only had, let me get myself scooted back in. I only had this set of shorties, which goes down to size 4. So therein lies my problem. I could have done the bottom ribbing in a size 4. I can't do it in a size 1. I wouldn't do that much ribbing in a size 1 anyway, because I don't have a cable that's this long that would fit a thin size 1. So herein lies my problem. I had the rest of a gift card at the Moon and Yarn craft room, my local yarn store, and I wanted to get these smaller shorties for a number of reasons. But also it would include the size 3 that I could use for the ribbing at the bottom. And it does. It goes all the way from 0 to 3. And it's got the smaller tips and the longer ones. The thing I didn't know was that these wires, and in fact the ends of the needles, you know, like this end, do not fit into the quote-unquote so-called small circumference, I don't know, cables that I have. They only fit on these really thin mini cables, as I have now learned they're called. So, and also you can't join the 2 cables together with the connectors that come with this set and this set. So in fact, I couldn't use the 3s because I had no way of connecting them to this cable until I learned about a connector that you could buy. Let me see if I can show you this. That connects the larger cable with the smaller cable. And I'm sorry I'm not showing that to you right, but maybe I'll put in a picture. I bought the connector, but it's kind of strange. You have to really use a connector with a connector with a connector to get it to work. But the problem is that it then adds length to this cable that I have on the sweater. So it's too long if I were to do that on both sides. It would make the stitches too spread apart and tight. So I'd have to, one solution is I could change out this cable and find a smaller cable and then add these, add these wires on to the end with the connectors on the connectors to get the threes. I don't know what I did here. I decided to start ribbing with 1 3 and 1 4. The 3's on the left, the 4's on the right. Then I had the idea of why not buy a full size number 3. I'll take the wires out here. But I have a full size number 3. That's the thing. Like, I have these 5 inches. So then I bought the 4 inches just so it would be more convenient to have on a cable, and I could get away with a smaller circumference. Because if I were to add these to the cable that I have here, again, it would be too tight. So maybe the solution is that I have to change the cable on the sweater at the bottom to fit either these, the 5-inch number 3s, US 3s, or the 4-inch that are coming that I think will be really handy to have. So I guess tell me what you do. How do you even use these? I mean, other than the size 0 and the size 1 and whatever for socks. But do you use them on these cables when you need a smaller circumference, like for ribbing at the bottom of a sweater? Not ribbing on the bottom of a sweater, but ribbing on a sleeve, for instance. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, so I just really would love to understand how you manage these when you're using them, because I am a complete Luddite when it comes to this. I was really disappointed, but I'll figure it out. I just got so, I don't have that many cables, so I'm going to have to juggle things around, but I'll do it. Because I really want to finish this. But isn't that something, how the size 1, it really didn't cause this to be completely cinched in. I had a problem with the sleeve. There's one sleeve that's a tiny bit tighter than the other, but when you have them on, it's not that big of a difference. And that's because I got it in my head. The number of stitches that you were to have on your needle after you picked up stitches for the sleeve, I had it in my head that it was 66, but in fact it's 66 plus 6, because you're picking up 6 stitches, you're casting on, and you're not picking up, you're casting on 6 stitches underneath the arm. 66 plus 6 is 72. But I thought I needed to get back down to 66. And I didn't realize that until I got to the second sleeve, and I had to replicate everything because this first sleeve didn't look funny or anything. But it's just funny how we get numbers in our head and we're like, oh my God, I have to like keep knitting 2 together to get to 66, when in fact, no. Because the reason I thought that was kind of weird on the first sweater was like the number of decreases was making it like smaller and smaller pretty fast. Well, that's because I was using 66 stitches from the beginning. Lesson learned. Like, that was a big lesson learned. Like, pay attention. Just because you see 66 somewhere, you got it stuck in your head. I do want to show you progress on my Stephen West Rain or Shine blanket. that I'm making for my daughter and her future husband for a wedding present. I'm using linen quill minis. I'm going to try to hold this up. Yay! Wait, can you see it all? Yeah. Wow, it looks so retro. I love it. It looks like retro, almost like a woven blanket, doesn't it? Oh, love it. So I am here now. This is not my favorite coloring with the neutrals, and I have started decreasing back down to a point. So I'll show you the chart. Yay! Oh, I have counted and know that I will end pretty close to where I began. I'm going to go further than, let me get these stitches back on here, further than that orangey point, but based on the number of rows that I have left to decrease, but I'll still be in bright colors. And I'll manage that if I need to, so that I stay in and end with bright colors. So let me get the ball. Okay. So you're always holding 2 balls of linen quill, and you're marling, and it's an 8-row repeat with those colors. And this is the chart. And this is where I'm at in the chart. I've done the math. I'm going to end here, and then I'm going to go right back up here, and I'm going to end in these bright colors. So I'll just manage that. I'm here now. I did skip one of the more grayish color combos so that it wouldn't get and stay dark. And I just went to the lighter colors so that I could get to the lavender. Oh, this is so fun. This is such a squishy fabric. I'm working with a set of 40 minis, and I went as far as I could go, where I was almost running out of the entire ball, and then I started decreasing. So it's going to be a lap blanket, but it'll be cute. Update on this is just in the background no pressure, no deadline Sophie Scarf summer edition. Really it's just for travel, and when it's in those in-between seasons and you need something that's a little lighter than the one I have now. I don't know why I'm saying that, because this is a soft yarn, just like the one, my favorite one. And this actually, I think, so I'm at the widest part, and I'm just going on the widest part until I think it's long enough to start decreasing. But this is Plucky Knitter. And the mix of materials, it's called Primo Fingering, superwash merino, cashmere, and nylon in the color Punchy. So yeah, it's got some cashmere in it, just like the swanky sock that I used. So I don't even know what I'm calling it. I think it's because of the color. It is true coral, even though it's looking more orange. But in the daylight, it's a true coral, and oh, I just love it. Let me tell you about the test knit that I'm now not doing. So I signed up for Sophie at the Knit Purl Girl. I saw her talking about the Lease top, which is kind of a summerish weight in that she's making it with cotton and wool. And you can't see it very well here, but this is a broken rib sleeve, and very simple design and a really cool rolled neckline. And I started looking for yarn. Herein lies the problem. She made this in Gebhardt cotton wool 3, which is 50% cotton, 50% wool. And she's holding it with a lace weight linen yarn. And I couldn't find the Gephardt on Wool & Co. and I didn't want to buy it internationally. But this is the linen twine string-like stuff. It's 50% linen, 30% cotton, and 20% lyocell. None of it feels cottony when you're using it. It's very stiff. It's like holding a piece of stiff embroidery thread. And anyway, I wanted to use, so you could either hold it together to make a DK weight or use a DK weight yarn. I ordered Knit Picks cotton wool, woolen cotton, and I could not get the gauge, even though I think this is beautiful. So I returned the yarn, but I am so glad that I tried this because I want to use it and I love the color. I think this is called gardening gloves. And I'm questioning myself returning it, but I did it on all kinds of gauges. Number 4, number 5, number 6 US. I was supposed to get a gauge of, what is the gauge? 22 stitches and 30 rows on a US 6. I couldn't get the 22. And I was being really picky about that because it's a test knit. So I decided, okay, some people were using Line from Sandnes Garn. I decided I wanted to, I thought, okay, I'll go ahead and buy the Isager Trio 1. Yeah. And hold it with something that I saw other people were using. And so I got the Tynn Line. I really like this yarn. I held both together and did a swatch, and I disliked using that wiry linen thread stuff. And did I get gauge? It was close. It wasn't gauge. And I decided, well, maybe I'll keep this yarn and I'll do a swatch. And I mean, it gets so soft. And the sample that I did with the swatch I did with the linen string, it softened up, but I didn't like using it. But I thought, I'm going to go ahead and try starting the project holding those two together, the Isager Trio 1 and this. And so I started it and I started working. I think it's a back panel or something. Hated it. Disliked the experience. Could not get beyond it. So I decided, no, this isn't for me. I've done enough. I'm returning this lace weight. I'm not keeping this either. I mean, I'm keeping this one because I've used it, but I'm not keeping the other balls of this because I don't like using it enough on its own. I would rather use the Line, which I think is a DK weight. So I'm not going to try to fit this yarn into something if I really don't want to do a fingering weight project with this, maybe with something else, but not with this. So I'm just sending everything back that I can, the balls that I can. And I'm calling it a day, and I have to tell Sophie I'm not going to do it. And that's it. I'm defeated. I'm defeated. It was a real disappointment. I mean, I've just spent so much time trying to make this work, and it just didn't work. But this, let me know if you have worked with the Knit Picks woolen cotton. If I didn't say Knit Picks, this is a size 4, and I really like this gauge. I forget what the gauge of the actual yarn is. I'll look it up in a second. And then one of these is a 5 and one of it is a 6, and I don't remember which one now. Yeah, that was me. Let me look up the woolen cotton. Isn't it frustrating when you put something into Ravelry and you're close, but not really close, but it can't intuit what it is that you're close to? It says it's a US 5 to 7 and it's 5.5 stitches for 1 inch. Oh, I know. Okay, here's the final frustration. I ordered, going back to when my last video, I was talking about ordering from Wool Warehouse or Linda Hobby. I have now ordered from both places, different types of drops yarns. And I think I found a similar experience. So I think depending on which place has the best sale, I would order from either, just to let you know my experience. But I ordered Drops Air in this beautiful color. I'll put a picture up here because it's in a bag downstairs, which I'll explain why in a second. I ordered it to make the cloud sweater. I became obsessed with this sweater. And since I thought that the Drops alpaca lace silk that I had tried and ordered felt really good, that I would see if Drops Air felt the same way. I got it in. It did feel like it wasn't going to bother me. I mean, obviously I'm going to wear like a t-shirt or something or a camisole under the cloud sweater. But when you see the yarn in person, it is so nuanced, the different types of colors that are in that particular colorway, which I have up on the screen. I started I started the pattern. Like I got the pattern, I started it. I was so excited. I was sitting here, and by the time I had started the little quadrangle or whatever it is, it's not a quadrangle, but the little back part of a petite knit pattern, I had started getting a sinus headache, and I was actually had a runny nose and I was sneezing a little bit, and there was such a fine dust of alpaca hair, I guess, all over the place. And I didn't realize all of this was happening until after a while. And I mean, I had such an immediate sinus headache. So I shut it down. I thought, I can't do this. It might be okay after I actually knit it and wash it, but I'd have to knit the whole thing first. And I don't want a sinus headache while I'm doing it. So I shut that down, and I am going to take it to a knitting night that I sometimes go to at a library, where I could bring it and say, does anybody want this? Because I think I only got like 2 balls, or I have 2 balls left, something like that. But yeah, such a disappointment. If you've made the cloud sweater and you've used like a blown yarn or a chain yarn or something that might work, then please let me know, because I definitely would love to make that sweater. It was so fun knitting it up with like the blown yarn, that I would love to continue doing that and making it. So let me know. I think that's it. Oh, I do want to mention, I'm going to put down below a video. I think it's Patty Lyons that I watched when I was doing the Stages Pullover. I was noticing I was getting holes in the underarm of the first sleeve I did, and I had to like fill those in, and I wanted to see if I could reduce the holes, maybe not eliminate them. So I watched this Patty Lyons video, which I'll link below, and she really goes through why it's difficult, why you would get holes there in the first place. And then, so like the mechanics of the rows and the columns, I don't know, and how you're picking up the in-between bar. But she really goes through like the mechanics of that, which then like I understood a lot better why that would work. So, and it really reduced the gap, that I got in the underarm. So I was really happy with that. Please let me know what you're up to, and any recommendation, or not recommendation, but really just, yeah, what are you doing when you're using these in regular sized projects? Or do you use these in regular sized projects? How do you get these needles on like a sweater? I'd be so happy to know. But as always, let me know what you're up to, what you're working on, what cotton slash wool combo do you like using, specifically in a DK weight, because I have learned that, I mean, there's a couple fingering like Santolina, Purl Soho Santolina that I can use and that I like because it's a little, I don't want to say it's fluffy, but it's more than just a fingering piece of yarn. It's got a little bit of it's a cotton linen. It's got a little bit of a like a halo, I'm gonna say, even though that's not really maybe the right word. But if you have any recommendations of yarns that you use, I have like a couple patterns that I'm really interested in getting to for summer and spring. So please let me know. And thanks for joining me again.